Game 7, and the Clippers end up winning. And I asked, again, 126-111, so the Mavericks are out in the first round. There's so much to talk about on that side of things, especially with Luka not being here. As I said, did the NBA lose one of its biggest stars not having Luka now to play the rest of the playoffs? You know, a guy that will draw eyeballs to the screen. But did we learn something about the Clippers? I know you hate talking about it, Key, but just on a basketball sense. No. I know you're an LA guy, but Jay, you obviously, again, in studio, did we learn something about the Clippers in this series? And do we believe that after hitting 23-pointers and making like almost all their free throws, did they find themselves, and are they now the team to beat in the West?
Well, no, they're not the team to beat in the West. The team to beat in the West is a team they're playing in the next round. That's the Utah Jazz. But I will say, due to load management and due to the way that we kind of view, the best players in the league, I think we always forget how good Kawhi Leonard is. The fact that he averaged 30 over 60% shooting from the field is really next level. Like, when you get back in the day when he was with Toronto, a lot of people started saying he's more like Michael Jordan, that really good two-way defender. But he just constantly reminds you because this was a Luka versus Kawhi Leonard matchup. And Kawhi Leonard won that matchup. Granted, there were a lot more pieces that helped Kawhi Leonard. Reggie Jackson, Morris knocked down shots from the outside, Paul George to a degree, and Luka just didn't have any help. But Kawhi Leonard took on the challenge of guarding Luka, and what he did in game 6, he dropped 29. In the second half, all of a sudden I'm coming back, we get done with studio, and we're leaving in the beginning of fourth quarter, and I come back and I get in my room, I'm like, wait, what just happened? He just went for 20 in the fourth quarter? Like, that's how talented and how special of a talent he is. What we forget.
Well, you know what? People, for whatever reason, is always kind of, when you have a two-way defender or a defender at all that is one of the top dudes on the court, and initially he does not guard the opposing team's best offensive player, the first thing people say is he's scared of him, he doesn't want that.
Ducking him,
He's ducking him, which it's all scheme, as you remember last week I said. What's going to happen? Prior to Game 6 will we see, because Game 6, Luka still had 30, whatever it was. Yeah. He went, he had a good game in Game 5. But Kawhi Leonard stepped up to the challenge in 6 and 7 and basically said, give me him. I may not have him 100% of the time, but I'm going to have him on certain situations where we're not going to switch. And that, to me, says that I'm up for the challenge, opposed to looking at it and having Ty Lue have to scheme some sort of defense. For Luka, he decided he was going to take him and do exactly what he did. Now, as far as this argument, as we always say, where's he at in the hierarchy of the top players in the NBA? Right now he's going to be right there in the top 5. He really is. And it's not because the last 2 games. It's based on what Jay said in his earlier comments about what he's averaging and what he's doing. 60% from the field, two-way player. I've got to guard you, and I got to score on the other end. To be able to do that takes a lot.
Well, let's hear from Kawhi Leonard after the game. This will be Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. On that very point, and everybody wanted to see it, Kawhi Leonard defending Doncic.
The whole season, the whole series, you have to lock in on him. He's a phenomenal player, great one-on-one player, could pass to his teammates, and you can't just pick one game to lock in. You have to stay focused throughout the whole, series. If it's 7 games or 4 games, and us just having that mental focus just helped us throughout the series.
That's Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
And what he said right there didn't do anything for you, huh? Meaning his personality. What he just said was like blah.
Yeah, but it was revealing because I think I keep coming away from the bigger story out of this series is Luka.
Yeah, 1 versus 5.
And the respect, right.
It felt like it was 1 versus 5.
How much respect has he earned around the league from all of his peers?
But he's good.
He's 22.
He's good, but he also got a little bit of that, I know I'm good and y'all not better than me attitude. So believe it or not, people gravitate toward that, where the Claw, he just kind of, I'm going out there and I'm doing my thing nice and smooth, and if you appreciate it, you appreciate it or not. But Luka, not only his play speaks for it, but he also has a little bit of
bravado.
Yeah, like he gonna talk trash.
He knows
screaming at the refs.
He knows you got to stop screaming at the refs. He's screaming at the refs.
A lot of the big stars do that. Jay, let me ask you this though: when it comes to Kawhi Leonard, is he that break glass only an emergency kind of guy that I'll do it when I have to, but I'm not going to do it all the time, meaning shut down the other star. Like early in the series, we're all like, where are you, Kawhi? Where are you, Kawhi? When it came down to have to get it done, he did.
Well, I mean, they changed up their scheme. It wasn't like Kawhi Leonard. Everybody keeps going to Kawhi Leonard lockdown Luka. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter how good of a defender Keyshawn is if he's guarding me. If I put you on the ball screen every single time, you're not guarding me. The big off the screen is guarding me. And Luka put them in ball screens constantly. But I give Kawhi a lot of credit for continuing to fight over the top and chase him. But they blitzed him. They kept blitzing him in Game 6 and Game 7. They blitzed him. They forced the ball out of his hands, and they forced guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. or Kristaps Porzingis or Jalen Brunson to make plays. And there's a cumulative effect because at the end of the day, I mean, Luka accounted for what, like 74 points last night between 40-plus points and his 12-plus assists?
Yeah. And
like there's only so much he could do.
That's the biggest issue. And at times in the series, Tim Hardaway Jr. was terrific in doing that. Dorian Finney-Smith, like a couple of their players did a great job supporting. But in the end, he didn't get enough from the guy on the team who's
Who makes
actually the
$30
highest
million.
paid player on the team.